put it in, it's nothing. I got a pacemaker later. I got the Cadillac.
Here they come. Here they're going to come. They usually do it that way. She's visiting.
Good morning, everybody. Let's stand up and praise Jesus
I'm sticking
today.
around your seats.
He has defeated death in the grave. I know it's not Easter, but we always can praise Him for the work He did on the cross. Amen?
Yeah.
And I searched the world, but He couldn't fill me. Pounds empty graves and treasures of faith never price that you paid for us, the high price that you paid for us individually. And that you'll put our lives into perspective considering that, Lord. That you will help us to see value in what you've given us. Help us to see that we should walk closer to you every day so that we can live our lives in sight of Calvary, Lord. Help us to remember that you did spill your blood for us. You poured your life out for us, Lord, so that we can pour our lives out for others. We can pour our lives out for your kingdom, Lord, so that we can see
pieces in the game of chess. As we get into the book of Esther, we are going to be talking about a king who is very powerful, and we're Xerxes. And for my understanding, for my remembrance, and maybe for yours too, whenever I talk about him, I'm going to refer to him by the name of Xerxes, because that's a whole lot easier to say than Ahasuerus. I mean, that's a little tricky. So we're talking about this king, Ahasuerus, but we're going to prefer to call him by the name of Xerxes, which is a little more common. Xerxes is the ruler of the Persian Empire. It's the most powerful empire in the world at that day. And he's the most powerful man in the world. So what does he decide to do? He decides to have a party. He's going to have a party. And he's going to invite all of the important people, all of the VIPs of his empire to this party. He's going to invite the army and the nobles and the governors and the leaders. And for how long did he hold this party? 6 months, 180 days. So I just want you to think about that. Today is April 16th. 6 months from now, we're talking about mid-October. We're talking about a whole new year of school. Football season will be back. Baseball season will almost be over. That's a long time to have a party. He has a party for 6 months, 180 days. And if you notice in verse 4, it says that Xerxes wanted to show the riches of his royal glory and splendor and pomp of his greatness for many days. All of those words, royal glory, splendor, pomp, greatness, he wanted to show off. He wanted to show off. He wanted to show just how powerful and influential and wealthy he was. I mean, if you're going to throw a party for 6 months, that takes a lot of money. That takes a lot of finance to do that. Now, why does he do this? He's not doing it for the glory of God, that's for sure. He's doing it for his own glory. What we don't know, what we read in history books outside of the Bible, is that Xerxes wanted to flex his muscle in the world. He wanted to show off his splendor and glory, and he wanted to go to war with an upcoming world power, the kingdom of Greece. And he will actually go to war against Greece and lose. But that's just a reminder to us that Xerxes thought he was powerful. He thought he was full of glory. So that's just a reminder to us as we read this book that God is more powerful than all the kings and all the armies and all the empires of this world. God is in control. We need to keep that in mind as we go through the book of Esther, that God is in control. Now, for the first 180 days of this party, we would probably not have been there unless we were some kind of leader in his kingdom. But there's good news for us in verse 5, because when you read Esther chapter 1, verse 5, it says, "And when these days were completed, the king gave for all the people present in Susa, the citadel, both great and small, a feast lasting for 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace." So in case you missed out on the first party, guess what? After 180 days of partying, you know what Xerxes wants to do? He wants to party just a little bit more. Let's go for 7 more days, and everybody's invited. All the people, great and small, everybody's welcome to come and join this party with King Xerxes. Let's all come to this party that King Xerxes is going to throw for the next 7 days. So who's invited? Everybody. All the people are invited. But it's also important for us to notice where the party is taking place. Take a good look at verse 5, and you'll notice where is this party taking place? This party is taking place in the garden of the king's palace. The garden of the king's palace. The garden of the king's palace would be a beautiful private garden where the king would go when he wanted to spend some time with him by himself, for himself. But if you were ever invited to the king's garden, that would be like a high honor in the kingdom. Jesus said, "Very truly I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God unless they are born again." And right after that, in John 3:5, Jesus says this. Jesus answered, "Very truly I tell you, no one has to offer." Again, he's trying to show off his wealth and his power. Not only do you get to drink from this fancy goblet of gold, King Xerxes has said, you can drink as little or as much as you want. Right? There is no compulsion. If you don't want to drink, that's fine. If you want to drink as much as you want, you go right ahead. All you can drink. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when restaurants didn't give free refills. Do you remember those days? Yes. It was a big deal when restaurants started offering free refills. Xerxes was the first one to do that. All the refills you want. And he did that to display his power and his glory. And what's great about this is Queen Vashti, she's the queen. She says, you know what, if Xerxes can have a party, I'm going to have a party too. So she invited all the women in the palace to enjoy her banquet, to enjoy her party. So we're at verse 9 in this book, right? We just read verse 9, which is Vashti's party, Vashti's banquet. We're 9 verses in. We've already had 3 parties, okay? This is a partying group of people in the kingdom of Persia. But when I read that word lavished in verse 7, sometimes you hear a word in the Bible and it reminds you of where you've seen that word other places in the Bible. The word lavished. I want to lavish you with as much wine as you could drink. It really wouldn't matter to me. It wouldn't appeal to me in any way. Closer to God, if you need to surrender to God, if you want to be God's child today, we're going to sing an invitation song called King of My Heart. Because that's where Jesus needs to be. He needs to be King of your heart, King of your life, King of everything you do. That's where he belongs. He belongs on that throne as King of your heart. So if you want to be a child of the King, if you want to be born again, if you want to be forgiven,